My father immigrated here from Nicaragua, right? Like one of my prized possessions is I have his immigration papers when he came here.
Theo Von seems to be a little bit sketched out by the way the Trump administration has been using him to push their deportation message.
I don't know, man. That like really kind of shook me. It really kind of shook me.
But Theo, he loves playing both sides.
I think if Hitler were alive today, he'd probably appear on Theo Von's podcast. Do you want to apologize to all the Jews right now on my show? No? I get it.
Hi everyone, JJ here. Welcome back. Well, Theo Von seems to be abandoning MAGA, or at least a little bit. Or as you saw there, he does play both sides, and we'll look at that. We'll see what Theo has to say and what other people have to say about it. But if you look at this chart here, why it matters, he's part of the Rogansphere. He's become big in his own right. This chart here from a few months ago shows the different audiences for podcasters. Joe Rogan in the middle. Theo Von is pretty big in the podcasting and comedy scene as well. So this is why this matters. He's got a lot of influence. And so let's see what's been happening in his world. He's been pretty annoyed with what MAGA, or specifically the Trump administration's been doing with him without his permission. And he seems to be backing away from it really quickly, along with other comedians / podcasters. Let's get into it.
The Department of Homeland Security used Theo Von's comedy video in one of their deportation propaganda videos. Theo Von was making a joke in some video for a fan where he was like, oh, your husband couldn't make it to the show tonight? Did he get deported? Bye. It was just some dumb joke. He's a comedian, right? And the Department of Homeland Security spliced that up and put it in a montage of people actually getting deported, actually getting their lives ripped apart. And the Homeland Security Twitter account says, bye. Then Theo Von responds and says, yo, DHS, I didn't approve to be used in this. I know you know my address, so send a check. And please take this down, and please keep me out of your banger deportation videos. When it comes to immigration, my thoughts and heart are a lot more nuanced than this video allows. Bye.
Okay, so Adam Mockler explains it well. What's happened there, where Theo is obviously really annoyed about what they did, and a pretty crappy thing to do without his permission. He wasn't involved, as Theo explains here, and how he feels about it.
One of my prized possessions is I have his immigration papers when he came here. And I have them in a frame, and him and his siblings when they came here. And so I have tons of thoughts about it, but this was just fucked up, right? It was fucked up. The Department of Homeland Security put a video up online talking about they started making like trap beat edits and like banger edits to evicting people from the country, right? Or eliminating illegals, maybe some criminals, some people just undocumented, all, you know, just across the spectrum, right? So they put a video of mine that I'd made for somebody in a parking lot, probably like maybe a year and a half ago, just jokingly. I think it was a year and a half ago. They put it in at the front of this Department of Homeland Security, like trap beat. I think they had like, I'm not sure if they had like young boy lyrics or whatever they had, but it was ridiculous. And the first 10 seconds of it are me, right? Like, I don't have anything to do with this shit. Nobody asked me about it. You know, like nobody said, hey, this is going to happen. Like, and I have a lot of different thoughts about immigration. Like they're like showing people getting arrested. Like it's just an intense thing. Like, and why is the government even making these? I don't know. But that's where we're at in the world.
Yeah, so they used his video without his permission, and obviously he has come from an immigrant family here, but on the other hand, he did support MAGA. He really became a MAGA influencer, just like Joe Rogan, or Joe Rogan seems to be backing away from that, saying we're not anti-woke. He's seeing the same things happen, but not being involved, not being used like this without his permission, and it had, you know, real world implications on his life, obviously, and on his security. We'll see that in a minute. Not to foreground himself, it's really about the immigration and what's going on, but I can understand what he's saying here, how he must have felt about what happened here. That's part of the criticism, that these comedians they picked a side with, politicians leading up to the election. Now they seem to be backing away from it, but Theo plays both sides, as we'll see later, even in the same day.
So that had me really kind of paranoid. That had me start to get kind of paranoid and, like closing, like, I had the curtains in my house kind of closed. I was just like, you're paranoid. I woke up the next morning to a text from a high government official saying, hey,
I wonder if that was Christy Nome.
If you need some extra security in your neighborhood or some extra police cars on patrol, let me know. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
Now, if you're getting value out of this episode so far, I'd really appreciate it if you remember to hit that like button to help the algorithm to spread it to more people. It really does help. Thanks.
And like, what, you're just going to put police cars in my neighborhood? What are my neighbors going to think? Now they're fearful. Like, it just like, I don't know, man, that like really kind of shook me. It really kind of shook me. But you keep marching on, and you start getting security. And then now you have security, right? And the thing is, you just don't know. You just don't know. Right? There was a moment on it was White House, because the White House also put this out, and it was everywhere. It was like on all platforms and stuff. And I have a lot of thoughts about immigration, right? I have a ton of them, and we don't need to go into them all right now. I've talked about them on other episodes. I feel like they're doing a lot of bookkeeping in the country right now because we're going to get into a surveillance state and everyone is going to have to be on the books, right? So that's where I believe that we're headed.
Okay, so bookkeeping, he calls it, surveillance state. I don't know what he thinks about that. That's not a good thing. And these people who supported MAGA didn't know what they were in for, I think, and they're seeing these things going on. They're seeing people being thrown into unmarked vans by masked people, thuggery really, and all of the things going on. They seem to be backing away from it. Joe Rogan seems to be not liking what he's seeing here, but they're kind of slowly backing away, not quickly, but something like this is seeming to send him quickly in the other direction, considering it's affected his own life, his security. I mean, famous people do have security. He's getting pretty famous. So it's surprising that he didn't have that to begin with until now, really.
He had a good thing going. People thought he was down to earth and humble. But then, of course, he decided to start interviewing the tech oligarchs like Mark Zuckerberg.
Okay, now we're going to see what led up to this, him supporting MAGA, as he said, doing podcasts with various people, tech oligarchs and politicians. He's supposed to be a comedian, but they did get into politics, and this is where it's led them. So let's see what happened. And also playing both sides. He seems to do a lot of that.
And Sam Altman, and then, of course, politicians like J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. And he also started to get really serious about politics. Like after Trump and J.D. Vance had that meeting with Zelensky where they lectured him, Theo put out this tweet and he said, "Tell Zelensky to give us our tax dollars back and get the fuck out of here. Disrespectful guy using our money and using his own people." So he's not even trying to be funny anymore. If you're going to talk about politics, at least pretend to be a comedian still. Like, I don't even know what this is anymore. And of course, he ended up deleting that tweet after it got a ton of backlash. So it's just gotten so bizarre, and it doesn't work well with his shtick. He definitely uses his dopiness to his advantage. Like, he knows what he's doing. I mean, he was literally crying about Palestine, and then afterwards went out to eat with Jared Kushner, who wants to demolish Palestine and turn it into a resort.
That was a weird one. I saw that too, where he literally says one thing on the podcast and then buddies up to the people doing it, and they probably called him and did this on purpose. I don't know if what this guy's saying here from Too Lazy to Try podcast, I'm going to put links in the description to these clips, by the way, that he knows what he's doing. I don't know if he actually knows what he's doing or if he's just gullible and just gets pulled in certain directions by these very influential people. I just don't know the answer to that. If he's pretending to be dumb or he actually is, I don't know the answer to that. But he's being manipulated like this.
And is also good friends with Benjamin Netanyahu. And same thing with Trump. He's as pro-Israel as it gets. And Theo had him on his podcast, helped him get elected, went to his inauguration, and went to the Middle East with him just a couple months ago. So it's really hard to take him seriously.
I don't know if he really just goes with the trend, so he's backing away because he can see becoming unpopular. The policy is becoming unpopular. Can he see the wind change? Can you see the tide change and just going with that? Or does he really believe in the things that he's saying? Is he just going with the trend like Rogan seems to have done as well, seeing what's happened and just gone with it, and now backing away, seeing these places where this administration is going are pretty damn scary, which he said himself. He was shook by what happened there.
His post about Palestine, he said, "What are we doing?" with a heartbreaking. And this comedian Zach Fox called him out on it, and he posted a picture of Theo, Ivanka, and Jared, and he's like, "What are we doing? Bro, ask them, not us." You know, because it's hilarious for Theo to be like, "Guys, what are we doing? Like, people should feel responsibility and we should do something about it. Like, the average person has any say in what's going on." But then he goes and has dinner and is friends with the people that are literally orchestrating what's going on, the people that actually have the power. Like, if he really cares that much about what's going on in Palestine, I don't know if he'd want to be friends with Jared Kushner and JD Vance and Donald Trump. But Theo, he loves playing both sides. Like, also, he had JD Vance on a couple months ago, and he didn't ask him about the Epstein list. But then afterwards, he tweeted basically, why did JD Vance change his opinion on the Epstein list?
It's crazy that he didn't ask about. He doesn't ask about these things on his podcast. Is he too afraid of power to actually call him out? Just total softball interviews. I mean, you know, and he puts it in writing afterwards, tweeting it out. I mean, he could ask the tough questions. I mean, he's a comedian, not a journalist, but if you had that person there, wouldn't you say something? It would actually probably get a lot of viewers if you cause some controversy. Is he afraid of it? But look, the situation that he's got himself into, where the government feels like they can use his videos without even asking him as an influencer, like, oh, he won't mind.
Again, it's like, why didn't you ask him? It's so funny. He's friends with these people and hangs out with them, but then afterwards he acts like he has nothing to do with them and they don't even know each other. I mean, also he tweeted at JD Vance and Donald Trump and said, "Can we get some aid to Gaza now? Children are starving to death. We are America. This isn't about politics. It's about humanity." And then this other comedian, Gianmarco Ceresi, I think is how you say his name. He's like, "Why don't you ask them when they're on your show?" So of course we're seeing more and more comedians make fun of him now. Like, also Dan Soder has been making fun of him recently too. And I'm sure people saw Mark Maron had a bit about him during his special.
I think if Hitler were alive today, he'd probably appear on Theo Vaughn's podcast. And Theo would be like, "See, y'all did a lot of meth, right? I mean, all the Nazis."
I actually read that book about that. I think it was called Blitzed, where they talked about how like all the soldiers were on it because it decreased fear and increased aggression, and Hitler was as well with his personal doctor. It was started off to be vitamins, and then they got into it. So that is a real thing.
Fucked up on meth, right, Hitler? That shit'll make you crazy, dog. I did some meth once. I was up for 3 days, and then I ate a live bird. No shit, Hitler, a live bird, bro. Hey, Hitler, you probably didn't even hate the Jews. That was just the meth making you crazy, dog. Hey, Hitler. Do you want to apologize to all the Jews right now on my show? No? I get it.
Now I'll put a link to a previous video with Mark Maron in it, ripping into the Rogansphere, and including Theo Von there. He's doing stand-up about this. I think that was pretty funny, and it's valid criticism, I think. But let me know what you think of this. And also a subscribe link. Do subscribe and do join the channel as a member if you want. Support the channel and also get videos about 7 hours usually before they go public, and also priority reply to comments. Thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next one.